Hello, everybody. I'm going to give everybody a chance to find me again. I apologize. I thought I'm going to push every button until I find out how to fix this. It wouldn't fix. It cut me off. All right, I'm going over to the site and here I am again. All right, let me put the shortcut. And then I'm going to make sure I don't touch anything again. I apologize, everybody. Okay, so there, I just put it on our site. So let's cross our fingers. Oh, look at y'all. You found me so quickly. I was just over on the site putting it on there. Well, so I go to tell you the good news and I break my stream. So hello, I hope. And it for me personally, I've he has been calling me his wife forever, and I like that. I'm not a kind of gal who just takes relationships willy and nilly. And he said, "You have waited very patiently." And you're right. What are we waiting for? So, yay. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you. I know. I was like, oh, great. I just broke the internet with that announcement. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So the end, we're not jumping in. Mark and I are the type of people that when we married, when we first said I do, we meant it. And we gave everything to our relationships and we couldn't save them. And it was a good thing I got out of mine. It was killing me. So I'm really very excited. You're going to have to get used to a new last name for me, but I don't really talk of that's one thing I'm glad to get rid of the last name that I've been carrying my whole adult life and oh, waited 12 years. Yeah, you it takes two people to make a marriage. And if only one person's really committed, you can't do it. So, but this last 20 years has been fantastic. And he means the world to me. So, my new last name is going to be Mastronardi. How is that for a mouthful? My maiden last name was Lue, Lou. But when I got divorced, I didn't want to be Debbie Lou. And I'm sorry, Dad, but that just didn't work. My whole growing up, people said, "What's your last name?" And I said, Lou. They said, "Debbie Lulu." So I didn't want to go through that again. And so since I had kids, I kept the Johnson, but it bothers me. Did any of you understand that feeling that it just bothers? That's not who I am anymore. That's way back then. So I'll be Deb Mastronardi. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going from vanilla to chocolate with all kinds of goodies in it. I mean, talk about a big difference. So, Deb M, there it is. I'm Deb M. Oh, thank you, Mary, and thanks everybody for understanding. I was thinking, I don't need to tell them all this, but it's when I have something exciting like that in my life, I want to tell you, I want to share it. So my kids are all excited, and so yeah, it's gonna happen. So anyway, thank you, thank. You know what? So many of us have gone through this kind of thing over time, but I tell you what, we've had a busy 20 years. It's been a lot of ups and downs and goods, and in fact, today one you kept your married names, yes, for your son. Yep. And now, since my kids are almost 45 42 and 37, it's going to be fine that my last name doesn't match them. So we're going to be two cute old farts that, getting married. So, oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for enjoying it. Thank you. Let's. I love that. I love that. And maybe if my marriage hadn't been so painful, it wouldn't be as hard to keep that name. But that name's not a good thing for me. So, gosh, okay. All righty. So let me bring the camera over. And I'm sorry, I'm going to try not to touch it's that new mouse. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong that does that. But when I can't see you, I feel like I can't have a show. I feed off of y'all. We answer, we talk back and forth. Oh, yes. Did we test each other out or what? Ugh, that is for sure. And it's like, you know what? I think it's time. I mean, and two, honestly, as you get older, it's I think it's important to have the legal, you different decisions you have to make in our health, will kind of go downhill a little bit. When I was on the long arm doing this, I didn't like it. But when I see it now from a distance, I think it's important. So here we go. Oh, you're back. Good. I'm hoping that Marcia found us again too. So, so good. Okay. Now, I've only added some brown to this. What I mostly did when I worked on this earlier today was here up. So I'll show you that first. Let me bring some more light over here and come down and show you what I've done. I started first last week. I had done some work in the sky. And yeah, my cute little seagull, and I got to add more too. But I had already done some work with a light blue in the sky. Remember last week when we were on live, I was using some different color threads. Thank you, sweetie. I was using some different color threads to start accenting the sun. And you know what? I decided I'm going to have fun with this. I'm in such a great mood. I'm going to have fun with this. And so I took and made the rays come out. And then I said, okay, I want to add a little bit. It was a nice shiny rayon yellow. So I did a touch under the clouds. I did a little long just stitching. And in that case, it's not that I needed any stitching, but it's to give that little glimmer of yellow, little shimmer of yellow. And as you see, now I did a lighter yellow, then I did this bright yellow. I did white in here, but it wasn't enough. So I went ahead and took some white acrylic paint and put it because I need that really, really white. What I'm going to have to do is come in here and do some white stitching, zigzag back and forth to blend this white into this yellow, into that yellow. But I took that bright yellow and I said, I'm going to use that to do the thread stitching. And so that's what I did. And it helped. I used that yellow to kind of bring all the colors together. I had already done some work with the ink tints to kind of blend this peachy orange into this yellow. But then I think doing the yellow thread helped that. Cheryl's here. Oh, great. Hi, Cheryl. Honey, I'm glad you're late. We already had a partial show and somehow I cut it off again. So then when I was looking at this, I said, you know what? I had the light gray coming across this way. I said, what if I took that yellow And I brought the yellow before I tried not to touch this dark blue, and I thought, why not? So I did the dark yellow lines on about an inch on either side of the actual sun. Then I started up here and did a zigzag on top of the light blue zigzag. Well, gray or light gray, whatever. And so that way the water looks like it has some shimmer from the sun. And then I came in here. This is the stitching I did here. And see, this is not ever going to be put in a show. So I just let me be free enough to play with it, because you know what's the worst that can happen? You take out stitches, oh yeah, every time I have to change thread. Now the bobbin stays the same. The bobbin is light gray. Yeah, you want to see some stitching? Look at all this. Isn't that something? That's a lot of stitching. But the bobbin is light gray. That helps. I just have to change the top. But if any of you have ever changed the thread on a long arm, it's a lot of bending and stretching. Hi, oh good, Marcia's here. I would feel lost without our Marcia. So anyway, so I did some yellow, and then down in here where I had the lines to try to help blend, I took the yellow and kind of made it, I kind of did a scallop look to try to hopefully give it a little bit of, unsettled water. Then I came down to this part and I did, let me move my laptop. I was trying to get the camera to come down more and realized, oh, it was touching the top of my laptop. So then I said, well, I looked at the different photos, because remember I printed out some extra photos I wanted. Hold on, let me grab. Okay. So I had printed out these shorelines. And it works better if they're right side up. And so see how you have a lot of this? That's hard to do. That's really hard to do. So this is what I ended up doing. First, I brought some yellow in, and to bring the sun down, and it's mostly here, but then it starts to trail off down here and not be as bright. So, because this is a sunrise, not a sunset. So this is just coming up. And that means a sunrise is different from a sunset. This is a sunset. See how everything is orange? And that's the big difference, because the sky has been filled with the sun all afternoon. And as it goes down, the sky's a lot more orange. When it's a sunrise, it's just coming up. So think of it as a clean sky, clean, fresh sky. Okay, so then I brought the yellow out into here. Now I haven't decided yet about whether to leave these darker blue threads. For right now, I'm still looking at them. One of the problems that I don't have because I'm doing this show is the luxury of living with something to know whether I like it or not. And that's something I want you to make sure that you take time in doing your art quilts to live with things, to put them on a design wall, to live with things. And so you'll really know, is that a keeper or should that go? And that's one thing I'm always feel like I'm on a deadline, and I have to keep that in mind. So now, do you see this? I went ahead and added it. I did such, I think, let me get scissors. I haven't cut off my threads because I was running behind. I said, I don't have time to cut all the threads. And, but I really worked to do a good job to try to show the white foam that's left behind as a wave is coming back. So I did straight stitching, I did up and down stitching. Then I went along, in some places I did 3, 4, 4 passes here, then went to the next place, did 4 there, went to the next place, and tried to add that tried to add a little bit of this, a little bit of that in between, because that was one of the things I was concerned. How do I do this? That's tricky. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I can always come back in with ink tints if I want to make it a little more white. But after I did all that work, I thought I talked about having cheesecloth between this first layer of waves and the second, because I thought that would help give it this look, to have the cheesecloth laying right in here. But then I was worried about hiding it too much, so that's why I did all the thread painting. So then what I did is I first came in with that clump of white threads I had when a spool of thread acted up on me. And then I liked it so much. And I just went in, I scrunched it all up really good. Then I came in and kind of sewed in this kind of here shows it really well. See how I kind of did. My long arm does not have a zigzag stitch on it, so I make a zigzag stitch with a regular stitch. And so that's a good area for you to see. But one thing I want to tell you, be careful, because if you let the little presser foot go under the cheesecloth, it will get all hung up and thread over and under and all of that. And then you'll have to cut your way out. So be really careful. I was finding myself getting my fingers a little too close to the needle, but get a bamboo skewer. And I should have gotten up to go get a bamboo skewer. Do it with a bamboo skewer to protect your fingers. Now, the reason I like a bamboo skewer rather than what are they called? Now I've forgotten what it's called. Normally you'd have a tool. I forgot what it's called. Darn it. And I don't see one right here. But stiletto. Thank you, Lisa. Laura R, hi, hon. And so I like this bamboo skewer because if the needle hits it, it's probably not going to break the needle or jam the machine or cause you'd have to go have your machine retuned. So a needle can hit it and the world doesn't end. So I would say I always use this instead of a stiletto. So if I had had this, I wouldn't have had to get my hands so perilously close. Luckily, I did not hurt myself, but I used the cheesecloth all the way across. What I like about it is it shows the background through it like a real wave. If you look at this, a real wave only has a few little parts that are pure white. Otherwise, it looks like little lines and the blue and the green comes through. Here, do you see? I mean, that's really tough to get. And so I'm very happy. From now on, I think cheesecloth is going to be my way to do waves. I've thought about lace before. In fact, I think I used lace somewhere, but this is really good. And then after I had this, remember I told you it's very, very white at the point where the final wave hits the shore. See how white that edge is? But then see the dark line? So what I did is I'm going to probably come in with a micron pen and do a little darker line. But when I put the darker brown on, I went and sewed the line at the bottom of that wave. And so I just tried to, when I did all of the thread painting on the wave the best I could. You see all of this, trying to make it look frothy and white. Then I came in very last with this. So what I'm trying to tell you is The first layer is the fabric. You block the color. The second layer is Inktense. You come in and I added Inktense. You can see a slight yellow cast. See this? That's all Inktense. Then you come in and add the thread painting. And our final step will be when I come and I put more birds in the sky and on the beach. And when I come in and put shells on the beach, I'm going to try to find some of my miniature shells from the lake, but we're going to pretend they're ocean shells, but they're great because they're tiny. And I can put them right in here. And I may make a beach ball to lean up against the fence. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. So I started in with the darker brown and I came in and just did a little bit of thread painting here. And that it just helps keep it from looking like just fabric. It just gives it that extra depth, okay? And then where it's lighter here, I'll use the lighter tans. And I have I have really good, like a lighter tan. That'll be my lightest. And, or maybe this one is my lightest. And this is the one I was using upstairs, which is my darkest. And then where is my medium? And here is my medium. And those are, oh, good for you, Denise. Good for you. And so these are my 3 shades. Remember, I said I learned from a wonderful teacher, Bonnie Langenfeld. I learned choose 3: dark, medium, and light. And I've had 2 different teachers, one telling me start with the light and then go to the dark. And the other one saying start with the dark and then come to the light. Since I tend to be heavy handed, I'm going to follow the one that says start with the dark and then work to the light. Now, these right now might look a little funny, but I wanted there to be a little dark, and then I'll come in and circle it maybe once with this and then finish with that. But when it's away, it does look good. Now I took Inktense and did all this coloration. So I'm not trying to cover that. I'm trying to add to it. And then I'll come in with my lightest and give the highlight areas where the sand is kind of piled up here and lighter, and here, and in these places that I tried to bring out some light color to bring it closer to some of these colors. But I'm just going to do a bunch of these. They're not really footprints. They're just supposed to be the darkest part of the footsteps all through the sand. Now I've really wanted to get in and start doing the thread painting on my fence. I'm having a terrible time because of the layers of fabric. It wants to break my thread. Very, very frustrating. But I'm going to tell you this, all of the white thread I used, I never broke my thread because it was an Issachar that I used for long arming. So that's why I'm going to start buying 1 or 2 cones of Issachar. And I even thought of this is, I think, this is so fine superior thread. I don't know where I got this, but I'm so grateful because I know this was expensive. I'm going to try this, I think, for some of the fence and the sand because this shouldn't break. I'm hoping. So, anyway, I came in here and another thing that was fun. I took some of that bright sunlight color and put highlights on my seagrasses. So I've still got a ways to go. The main thing for right in here, let me see. I need to add some good neutrals come in here with the seagrasses, because the seagrasses are not all bright green. And this would be, some of these would be good to add to the seagrasses to dull them down. I already used a dark, and where is, yeah, I already used a dark and this one. Okay. But now on this side, I am going to use these. So you have to take your time. You put on a good audiobook or a good television show and just relax, relax, relax. So I think that is about that. Now, let me ask you again, did anybody think of anything they want to do with a triptych? And since I know for sure I'm going to take next week off, we have time, but be thinking about what kind of do we want to do? What do they call it when it's the modern quilting way of doing it, where it's just, it's your own kind of thing. I wanted to show you from a distance so that you can see. And I think it's coming together, and I think the dark lines look much better when you step away from it a little. And that's the thing. No one ever looks at a picture like this. So step back away. Also, I have a bad habit of working on it flat. You need to hang it and look at it a while because it looks different when it's upright. And that's the way you're going to see it. So I just want to let you look and then let you see up close what the cheesecloth does to it. Okay. And you have to, that part was a little tricky because you have to make sure that it's well sewn down. If you ever enter the show, everything on there has to be well attached. But if you attach it too much, then you won't have any of the fluffy, frothy part, which is the reason you're doing the cheesecloth. Let me pull this lamp closer and let you see again. But that definitely gives a 3-dimensional effect. See? And I think that's pretty cool. Now, one thing I am going to do, I tried to make these thinner back here, but I'm going to come in with my ink tints and put a tiny little blush of a blue or gray, a bluish gray. And so this one looks far enough away, but I want to kind of dull down the white of those because I didn't really look at this, but yeah, depending on how big it is, the further away it gets just a little duller. Think of the atmosphere as graying things down. So the more atmosphere you're looking at to see it, the grayer it's going to look, the lighter it's going to look. So even the waves, you want them to look a little like there's a distance to them. All righty, but you see what I mean about doing the dark brown thread in the footprint area? I just think it gives it that little extra something. Down here, there are no stitches. And okay, the colors are there, like right here. But when you put the thread on, it just gives it that texture that's needed. So I'm going to decorate this and I'm going to have fun with this. And this is not to enter in a show. This is just to play and have fun. Because, when I did the woodland waterfall, that was a lot of work. And what I want this one to be is the opposite. And I did lighten up my clouds in the sky. I decided since it was a fresh morning, I didn't want them all gray. So I lightened those. I put a little line of yellow stitching on the bottom so it was reflecting the fact that, yes, the sun was starting to rise. Can you think of any? Oh, hon, thank you. You know what? It's just playtime, especially when I realized today, after the third hour, I'm not going to get this finished today. I was so disappointed. I'm hard on myself sometimes, but I said, Deb, I think they'd rather just get together and have fun and not have me all, upset with myself. But so last night I went to a play. I saw my granddaughter. It was really a cool play. It was you see this couple come out and start talking and challenging each other and just having this conversation. My granddaughter's over at the desk on stage, but over there, and she's writing. Then all of a sudden she says, "That's it. I'm done with this." And I'm thinking, "Uh-oh." And what it was, those were the characters. She was writing these characters. It was really interesting. It's like, the characters were like, "No, don't throw us away. You keep doing this. You keep starting, giving us life and then taking it away," and all that. So it was a really neat concept. And then my grandson, who said he was never going to do plays, was in the next one. And it was a very thought provoking us versus them. And it was what happens if two groups of friends meet up and they start dividing the territory and then they build a wall. And what happens? And so often, building a wall leads to distrust and antagonism and fear. And until they tore the wall down, then they could see, oh, we have a lot more alike than we have not alike. So I was really impressed with him. He had a lot of lines. And so how exciting. And since his sister is a senior, it's nice that he is able to have that time with her before she, heads off to college. She's going to go to community college, which I'm really excited about. Don't want to see that girl saddled with a whole lot of student debt. So, anyway, so what I still have to work on in this. Okay, let's talk about where this quilt is going in the future. I have to finish the grasses here. And I'm going to make some darker grasses, like that are in a shadow, because I want the grasses to be very much a part of the excitement here. So I've got to finish these grasses, got to finish doing the footprints and using the two other colors, the medium and the light, in the sand here. Then I need to put the rest of the birds on that I really want to put on. Then I need to decide, do I want a beach umbrella laying down there? Do I want a beach ball leaning against the fence? What do I want? Then it will be time to quilt it. When I get ready to quilt it, I want to give it a little dimension. So I'm going to take and cut a piece of polyester batting, glue it to the back of this area, just right where that dune. Because if you've ever been to a beach with these dunes, this part walking in is like this. They build this up to protect the beach. And so I'm going to put I'm going to glue it on the back, a piece of the polyester, because I like the loft. I'm going to just take my school glue and just put a couple dabs, glue it there, glue it on this side over here. Then get the batting for the entire thing, and then a backing. And I'll probably choose something good and neutral. I don't buy expensive fabric to do the back of something unless it's really important. But I can't afford to pay, $11 or $13 for backing. So I always try to buy it on sale. I have it here. I have it in pretty good neutral colors so that I can use it for pretty much anything. And that is that. So then, okay, I'm not going to probably quilt this on my long arm because all I'm going to do is do outline quilting. So I can do this on my domestic, and it's a good thing for me to get a little practice on my domestic. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I've already got this stitched, but I'll probably do one line of quilting here, maybe one line up following the sun, and I'll try to pick a pretty nondescript thread that doesn't really show. Then I might do a little bit of quilting there just to give the water a little dimension. So I'll probably just kind of do a simple little stitch, not to show. Then I'll come in here at the edge of the wave and just kind of come in where I've got the different fabrics. Then I'll make a point of quilting this, and I'll probably do some little quilt stitches to emphasize how all the walking converges in and back out, and delineate the fence line, and then that will leave the grasses kind of mounded up. So you have to be considered an art quilt, it has to have 3 layers and they have to be attached. But this will be the only part that's going to be really important. I may quilt around the little birds, anything like that to make it stand out, and the fence line, and then the other like waves and skylines, just to make sure I've got it quilted. And then it's time to label it because I'm really committed to labeling these things. Who knows where your quilts are going to end up one day? And so then I'll label it. I'll decide how it's going to be framed. With this one, I may just do a facing. So on the front, there might not be anything really showing. Maybe I'll just trim it. I do not trim these until I'm done quilting. And the main reason I do that is so I have something to hold on to when I'm quilting it. If you cut it now and trim it just perfect, and it's really tough, you will break threads and stuff trying to get to the edge. So you always make it bigger than you think. So the narrowest part, this is going to be trimmed way back here. Over here, the skinniest part, that's how far it's going to be trimmed. So, and I know that when I make it because I cut my muslin, 2 to 3 inches bigger all the way around than the finish is going to be. But I won't trim it until I'm done quilting it. That's a good for several reasons. One, it gives me something to hold on to. But 2, every time you stitch on this, every time you quilt on it, it's going to draw up a little. And so when you're all done with all the machinations, except don't sew on shells, anything hard, don't sew that on until it's all done, all quilted. And then when you trim it, you're going to trim it on your cutting board. You're going to get one perfect corner. I usually get a perfect bottom edge corner. I get a perfect vertical first. I get a perfect horizontal. Then get that ruler and make sure I've got a perfect vertical. And then you're off to the races. You do a corner, a corner, and you're done. And then I will figure out what the finish is actually going to be. I'm looking at this really pretty, beautiful royal blue, thinking maybe I'll just do a small royal blue thing around it. So anyway, who knows? That'll be up in the air. Okay. Did anyone say anything about what kind of triptych about it? Oh, good. Like frothy water. Your daughter got engaged on the beach last year. That's wonderful. Oh, you brought a Liberty of London back for, one day I'm going to go to London or England, and I'm going to go find some Liberty fabric. I would love it if maybe they had scraps I could buy. You know me, it's like, it's got to be a deal. So anyway, all right, I think that's about it. there is another little thing that I'll talk to you on our groups IO. So please check that. And I don't want to talk about it here, but I'll go on tonight and write it on the groups IO. And otherwise, everything is good. I haven't coughed once this whole time I've been talking to y'all. So that is good. I'm not on any medication for colds. So it really just kind of knocked us for a loop, but we haven't really been sick since the pandemic. So, whew. But anyway, okay. I think that is pretty much it. I'll hold it up one more time and we'll say goodbye and have a great. Oh, let me come down to the bottom. How do I know if you have a question when I'm not at the bottom? Do I freezer paper the long strips too? I did do freezer paper for everything except the fencing. I did right on what do you call it? Fusible. I used like Steamacine 2 and did the fencing, but everything, all of this, because I took the pattern, which I have a free pattern. If you send me an email to ourtime2quilt@twc.com, I will send you the free pattern. And I took the free pattern and I printed it onto freezer paper. And then I cut out all the strips. And I liked it. It really made it nice and simple. I'm trying to learn what Jody does. I will never be good like Jody does her stuff, but I'm trying. So, all righty. Oh, thank you. I didn't want to worry you, but I had to take it easy. So, y'all take good care of yourself, and I will see you very soon. Not next Thursday, but I'll talk more in the groups IO. And I think we have 100 members in our groups IO now. So that's pretty exciting. All righty. Oh, there's a sound breaking up. All right, everybody. Take good care of yourselves and check your groups IO for the rest of the story. You're probably not old enough to know what that was. Mwah. Y'all take good care of yourself. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. You're so good to me. Good night, y'all. Oh, y'all just make my heart sing. Thank you. Mwah. See you soon.